hard for people to kind of grasp that and feel like that they're doing good when you're hearing no most of the time. And that's still like good and acceptable. You know what I mean? I've heard no 2 out of 3 times, and so basically I've pitched enough money to make 3 million. I've only made a mil, but I'll take the mil. You know what I mean?
So I have so many questions about the content area, but I do like to just start off, just like elevator pitch, just who you are and what you do, just to give some context to the viewers. And then we'll just chat about all of it.
Yeah, cool. So, my name is Jon Rindt. I'm 21 years old. I've made $1 million in the last 3 years through life insurance sales, and I've made more than half of that actually just this year um, with my industry. So I've been selling life insurance for 3 years. I run a team of about 50 guys right now, and basically our mission is to inspire people and change people's lives mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. And mentally just ties in with growing their mind, because we're not just a business, we're like a coaching service as well. Like, you come and work here and you also get coached, like life coached by people. We're a life insurance sales company, but I like to say we're like a leadership development company that sells life insurance, which is pretty cool. And then, body, we try to get our people in the gym, feeling good, looking good. Spirit, tied into whatever faith they have, make sure that they're growing their faith, whether it's, they believe in, flat earth, or, they're a Christian, doesn't matter to me, but expand their faith, and then financially, obviously, blow up their bank account. So that's what I've been doing the last 3 years. And, it's been a 6, 7 day a week grind, since then.
I say impressive. How old did you say you were?
So I just turned 21. I got about 5 months ago in May.
Oh, well, happy very late birthday. But that's impressive for
Thanks.
21, man. Uh, how'd you
Yeah.
get into it? How'd you start? You're young.
Yeah.
You're
So I met the CEO, Simon Arias, the owner of our agency. I met him at the gym with one of my buddies back in the day. We were lifting together, and I think I saw this guy's like car. He was driving like his Bentley or his Range Rover. I was like, dude, that's sweet. I wonder what he does for a living. And my friend, by chance, ended up knowing who he was. So they were like neighbors. He like went over to his house to like build some gym equipment for him. He like paid him $50 from, because my buddy was working like Dick's Sporting Goods. I was like, this dude just has $50 to pay someone to build his shit for him. Like, this dude must be a baller. Back in the day when I'm like 17 years old, that's what I was thinking. I didn't even have $50 probably.
and you're in high school.
And
You're 17 at this time. You're like in high
I
school.
was I was 17 years old. This was like after high school, ended at like 2:30 or something like that. That I met him, and my buddy introduced me to him. He ended up like wanting to have a conversation with him, and my buddy told me he was doing this internship program with through various agencies, where he's like setting up appointments for some of the sales guys, and he's making $10 an appointment, so he could set 5 appointments an hour and he get paid $50. Like, that's fucking crazy. So I started doing that, and then I got an interview with my boss now, Brody Evanson, who's kind of been my mentor throughout the last couple years. And he was driving an Audi R8, and I was like, this guy is fucking big time. Like, this has to be illegal. You know what I mean? Like, how does this guy who's like 26 years old, how does he have an Audi R8? And then on the board in his office, it said Tristan Delebic, $10,000 for the week. I was like, oh, he sold $10,000 of insurance this week. That's crazy. He was like, no, he made $10,000 this week. And I was like, isn't that kid 19 years old? And he's like, yeah, I think he's like just turned 19. And I was fucking hooked. I just got that little smell, the little taste of money, and I was like, well, if this kid can do it, so can I. You know what I mean? And that's just been my motto throughout life, the last 3 years. As if someone else could figure out a way, if I say the same damn thing they say and I do the same damn things they do, I'm gonna get exactly where they are. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I found out about the industry and kind of got into it, and it's just been a long, long 3 years.
That's dope. So you meet the CEO by chance, or after high school, or you're in high school at the time you meet him. Do you just start here right after you graduate, like full time?
Yeah, so I started here full time after I graduated, as soon as I turned 18. Just kind of, did 6 months probably in Pennsylvania, where I was, knocking door to door selling the life insurance, because back then we weren't a virtual company. And then, fast forward to now, I've lived in like 3 different states, and we do this all over Zoom now. So it's was crazy.
Are you in Pennsylvania now? I saw on your LinkedIn. It's
Yeah,
PA.
so
But
we're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
you from there?
Yes.
Nice. Um, have you always been into sales? You said you discovered the industry, but like before, did you think this is something that you would do?
So you actually had one of my buddies, Cole Hicks, on a couple weeks ago or a week ago or something like that, and he was the one that kind of introduced me to like money and like making serious money, and like kind of honestly put the belief system in that I'd be able to do something like that. And I remember us watching Wolf of Wall Street one day, and I just thought it was the craziest thing that like these guys made all this money. Like I'd love to do something like that, and he kind of showed me, that there's a little bit more in life than what meets the eyes. And I ended up meeting Simon, and I got the same vibe. I was just like this seems like some Wolf on Wall Street shit. I mean, to be honest with you, that's what it was. And it was legal, which was dope, and I was willing to put in the work.
Curious, how'd you meet Cole?
So I've known Cole since I was like 13, probably even 12 years old. We both lived in Lacey, Washington. I'm actually from
No shot.
Seattle,
Okay.
but I say I'm from Pittsburgh because that's where like I blew up. Excuse me, I blew up my career and everything like that.
Yeah, well, I did not know you're from. I'm from Lacey as well, so that's funny.
Okay. Where do you go? To Timberline, right?
Yep. How
Okay.
how long were you out in Lacey?
Sorry, I think I have to answer some of these. So I've been in Lacey. I was in Lacey for I think 13 years. Um, my dad was military, and then we ended up moving to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I really didn't have any plan for my life. In Lacey, I felt like Lacey was kind of like kind of brings it down a little bit. Like Seattle in general, wasn't a real big fan of the environment. So, we decided to move, and I went to a way different type of school uh, out in Pennsylvania. It's a lot different than Lacey. People are generally like nicer, a little bit more educated. As funny as it sounds, you would honestly kind of think like it'd be the opposite. You know what I mean? Um, but I don't know. There's a lot of different places I've been able to see in this world, and Seattle's probably the last place I would move back to.
Gotcha. So, what do you guys sell exactly at
Yeah, so
your age?
we sell a few different financial products. The first one, and our main one, is whole life insurance, which it's a guaranteed type of coverage. It pays out 100% of the time whenever you pass away. It grows, an interest rate, a part of the cash value. So it's a financial tool that people can use to, borrow money, pay themselves back, etc. Um, the next type of, financial tools we sell would be we do sell some supplemental health insurance, but most of us here really just sell the life insurance.
Gotcha. And what is Ren Financial?
So Rim Financial is kind of something that I designed myself, where I kind of found like in the life insurance industry, there's not too many people who think outside of the box. Like you really just think of like old people, you know what I mean? Whenever you think of life insurance, and I
Yeah,
just
I
decided to
saw on the website. There's a lot of young people like in on your website. So I did think the same thing. I thought it was like an older industry.
yeah. So we have right now, I want to say anywhere between 50 and 60 guys, around the age of 18 through probably like 25 at the latest, is pretty much like how old the average guys in our office is right now. But then, across the industry, I feel like they're all like 40 and 50-year-olds, you know what I mean?
And what's the goal with Ren Financial?
Yeah, so the goal with Rim Financial, long term is, in the next 2 years, I want to have 1,000 agents. Right now, we have about 55, 60, like I was saying. I want to have 100 by the end of the year, and I want to 10x in the next 2 years, to 1,000 agents.
Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to take a little bit of time, but at the end of the day, it's easy for me to put in the work and put in the time because I'm not really focused on furthering myself. I just feel like every new person that joins, my dreams just get a little bit bigger because I want to, have them have the same lifestyle that I have right now. You know what I mean? If that kind of makes sense. So I feel like I do it for a little bit a less, I guess a selfless cause or a selfless reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. What makes it easier for me.
Since you're growing that right now and your goal is so many people, are you still doing direct sales or are you more management of the entire thing?
So with the career track with American Income Life, there's two ways you can get paid. One is to sell life insurance, two is to train how to sell life insurance. Okay. And I've done a really good job, at all areas. My first year, I was the number one agent, in American Income Life, number one out of various agencies, number three internationally out of 8,500 representatives. And that was at 18 years old. So I mastered the sales first. And that's the most important, thing I believe that you can do whenever, you're in like a leadership role or a sales role, is that you have to kind of master it yourself.
I
So,
agree,
for
100%.
example, if you're going to go teach someone how to, run a business, you got to have a business that's doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Because for me, I'm a big believer that, people are going to do about 50% of what you do right and about 100% of the things that you do wrong, right? So if I can, through sales, make $50,000 in a month, I can, know with a good heart in the back of my mind that, maybe I guess half the population is at least half as smart as me. You know what I mean? So they'll at least be able to make $25,000 if I teach them. And that that was my goal. So I mastered the sales, and then I started teaching the sales, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and that kind of took off. And then, and I was in Chicago at that point, whenever I was doing that, which I'll kind of give you the whole story about how I moved so many places and everything. But whenever I came back to Pittsburgh, we had one person. That was me, myself, and I. And I came back to Pittsburgh May of last year, and so about a year and 5 months later, we have 60 people. And really, what I did was I just decided to kind of lock in and focus less on myself and more about others, and bring as many people to the opportunity as possible, and teach them how to make money, as fast as possible. And once I started flipping my mindset to, I work for you, like I'm here to help you, rather than, you're here to give me something, that's whenever, it all kind of changed. I feel like once I switched where my heart was at, I was able to switch everything.
That's dope. When you started coaching, was that within area agencies or was that already, did you start coaching once you started Rindt Financial?
Yeah, so I started coaching in Arius Agency. So Rindt Financial, I get paid through Arius Agencies. Rindt Financial is just my personal brand that I'm branding myself on social media and everything like that. Right?
Okay, so Rindt Financial or your Rindt Financial isn't associated with Arius agencies.
So no, it's
Okay.
technically not.
I thought it was a
it's
brand.
not
Okay, that
technically
clarifies some
associated.
things.
It's my brand. I get paid, through American Income Life. American Income Life pays, Rindt Financial, and then I pay myself. You know what I mean? I'm signed up as an S corp, which is probably like the best way to do it for like tax purposes and everything. But Rindt Financial, it's not a part of like American Income Life or anything. That's just my personal brand that I kind of branded my my team around, and myself and my social media presence and everything like that.
Okay, so the people at Rindt Financial, are you strictly coaching them just on sales skills, or are they selling?
Yeah, so everybody at Arius Agencies that works with me at American Income Life, they all sell life insurance. So I pretty much strictly just coach selling life insurance. That's my strong suit. That's where I've made my money at, and that's where I can.
I made good money at a young age, So
yeah.
So what's it? I don't want to steal all your juice, but I am curious. Like, what do you teach on when you have someone brand new? Say you're fresh, no sales skills or anything. They come up to you and they're like, "Hey, I want to learn. You've been successful at a young age. I want to be like you. How do I get into this? What do I do?"
Yeah, so the first step to even start selling life insurance is you got to get licensed. So usually that's like the trickiest part is, someone says they want to do something, but like, are they really about it? You know what I mean? So you got to get licensed in life insurance sales. For like the average course, it's like $154 through the state. And all together after like all the licensing fees and everything, it's like $250, $300. It's kind of like real estate, but it takes a lot less time and it's a lot easier. Like it only took me, I think, 2 days to do my life insurance course and a day to study, and I passed it the next day. You know what I mean? So it didn't take me more than like 3 or 4 days to acquire my life insurance license. But the hardest part is, getting someone to take the step and to get in the course, doing the studying for the license, because it's not like fun work. You know what I mean? You're not directly getting paid to get your life insurance license, but if you get your life insurance license, then you can learn how to get paid, right? So once we get over the step of getting them licensed, we do like a 2-week training program. The first week's pretty much all strictly learning. The second week's kind of like learning in the mornings, and then at the end of the day, they're kind of selling, calling, setting up appointments, learning kind of how to do like the basic fundamentals of talking with the clients. And then by the third week is when we have them do their, presentations, their sales presentations. And by that time, we've taught them the scripts, the rebuttals, the PowerPoint presentations that we have. We have everything developed to pretty much, like, if you can read, if you have a phone and you have a laptop with a camera on it, we have all the tools you would need to make $250,000 a year selling life insurance.
That's dope. So this they're calling direct consumers cold calling?
Yeah, so no. So that's actually kind of what's a little bit different about our company. There's a lot of companies to where you have to like purchase leads, and you got to, you know, you got to pay more for different territories and, stuff like that. Or if you want the good leads, you got to pay, even more for those. With us, everything's free. So American Income Life, they handle all the payments and everything for the leads, and we get those allotted to us every month for free. And it's a pretty easy system. It's, if you do good with what you got, they're going to give you more. It's a no-brainer. But we work with over 30,000 unions and associations to provide them with their permanent life insurance benefits, because 31 days after you quit, get fired, or retire, you lose all your benefits through work. So what we do is we just provide permanent insurance at a union negotiated rate. So the way we acquire our leads is, we have our reps within the company whose sole job is to go meet these unions and these union presidents and enroll them in the benefits packages. Okay. So, for example, the steelworkers, there's like 8.5 million members in the steelworkers, right? We had a rep that goes out to them. They negotiate a contract, saying American Income Life has all these great benefits to offer and some additional life insurance benefits you have to qualify for. And then those letters get sent back to us. We contact them. We go through their benefits package, and we find something that makes sense for the family, and put a financial tool, whether it's whole life insurance, term life insurance, accidental insurance, whatever makes the most sense for the family to set them up down the road. And then we just give them their life insurance. It's pretty easy. With sales, it's all a numbers game. And one out of 3 people we sit down with buy, and it's whoever makes the most calls, whoever sets up the most appointments. At the end, that's who's gonna win.
What are we looking at for KPIs? Like, how many calls a day would you say someone's making that is successful?
Yeah, 250 to 300 calls a day, and that sounds like a lot, but most of them ain't even answers. You know what I mean? So as far as like contacts, 12 to 20 contacts a day. We average, I think, probably average like 20 to 30 calls per set appointment, which is pretty easy. And if you have like an auto dialer, things like that, I know there's tools like that people can use. Makes it a lot easier. A lot of us outsource our calling to we hire like calling assistants, things like that, so we don't have to, we can just spend our pure time on doing what we do best, and that's closing, because that's what.
So do you start as a closer? Like, if say I started there, like I assumed I would start just cold calling, setting meetings for someone else, but someone that's new, what do they do?
So, you pretty much start as a life insurance agent. You go through your 2-week training. The first week, you're just learning. The second week, you're learning and you're kind of, setting up appointments. So kind of like a week phase to where you're like in the middle and you're listening and learning, watching whatever manager we pair you up with. And then, after the third week, you're closing, you're sitting out in the trenches, come back alive or don't come back at all.
I love it. I cold call myself. I'm an SDR right now. I came from an outsourced SDR company for like tech companies. It's B2B, so a little bit different. Still, I felt like a high number of dials. Hearing your dials is crazy. We had to do like 100, 150. I was like, that's a lot. Some of these tech companies now, even if you're with them directly, they're a lot less, like, something like 50 to 100 dials, which really, I think just someone that hasn't cold called, or even called warm leads, it sounds like a lot, but like you said, it's really not a lot. A lot of people, one, aren't picking up, and then two, the conversations you do have, only so many lead to a meeting. But you mentioned 12 to 20 connects a day. Out of those, like 12 to 20 conversation, what are you guys converting? How many would you expect someone to turn into a meeting?
Yeah, so typically, let's say like for me, I would usually shoot to have 12 appointments on my schedule for the next day, and that would take me 250, 300 calls. And if I set 12, I'm probably gonna sit down and pitch options to like 6 to 8 of them, and then out of those 6 to 8, I'm gonna close about 2 to 3 of them. So it's pretty much like a 33% close ratio and a little higher than 50% show ratio for what we have. So the basic agent with us, they sit down with 12 to 15 members per week. They sell them for about 67 bucks a month, which is $800 per year. And if the client's spending $800 a year, you're going to make about $400 off of that sale. Okay. So if you make, 400 bucks off that sale, about half, then you're going to get, paid $1,600, $2,000 for the week.
Is it you have 400 from that one $800 sale? Is that spread out? Like it's 800 for the year. Are you getting 400 that year for that sale, or do you get commission straight up front?
Yeah, so you get the commission straight up front. So like you'd get the $400 that next Friday. We get paid weekly, so you get that commission next Friday. And the real reason why I joined the financial service industry is because of residual income. Okay, when you sell a life insurance policy, unlike a house, you sell a house once, you get paid once, that's it. Never hear from the client again, nothing. When we sell a life insurance policy once, we get paid on that policy every single month for the rest of our lives. So I'm 21 years old now. The average, pension, Social Security, retirement, I think for a household is like 3 grand or something crazy like that. I get $3,500 a month residually already, and my retirement starts now. You know what I mean? With American Income, I start getting that now for the rest of my life. I don't got to wait till I'm 65 to get it, and it only took me 3 years. So if you can just imagine, if I work, the average time that most people work, let's even just say I work another 30 years and I retire at, 50 years old, I'm going to be retiring with $35,000 a month in passive residual income that I can put into real estate or whatever I want. So, the one thing about this business that's super crazy is the residual income. The immediate advances are crazy. You can have 10, 20, 30,000. I've had $70,000 weeks, and that's like, I'll show you papers. I'll show you legal paperwork. Like I've had a $70,000 week. And the craziest thing about it is the residual income, because you're getting retirement money now. Where would you go wrong doing that? You know what I mean? Instead of waiting 40 years for it.
100%. It sounds great. So say I'm someone that's hearing you. I'm like, man, John, this sounds amazing, but everything has its pros and some cons. I'm interested in joining the industry, but be realistic with me. What's something that may be a con or something I should look out for when it comes to this type of work?
So there's a couple attributes you have to sell insurance. One, you gotta love making money. Okay, that's got to be a pretty big driver for you. And if not if making money isn't a big drive for you, maybe it's like you really just want to spend more time with your family or your mom or your dad. But let's say it's that it's going to cost you money because you're going to have to take time off and you're still going to have to get paid. So that's like a big factor for you. You have just like a strong why of why you want to do anything great. Okay. If you use that why to work your ass off, you're going to make a lot of money here. So you got to, have a strong why of why you want to do something that's going to be hard, that's going to give you a lot of success or a lot of money. And then you got to, you got to you gotta kind of, I guess, just be like a business athlete. You know what I mean? Someone that's ready to, if practice starts at 6, you're there at 4:30. You know what I mean? And you got to put in that extra mile. It's a lot of work. It's a little bit longer than normal hours. It's a different kind of work schedule. Um, and I would to conclude that, I would say the hardest part's the rejection. You get told no twice for every one time you get told yes, and a lot of people have an issue with understanding that still means you did a good job. You know what I mean? So it's hard for people to kind of grasp that and feel like that they're doing good when you're hearing no most of the time. And that's still like good and acceptable. You know what I mean? I've heard no 2 out of 3 times, and so basically I've pitched enough money to make 3 million. I've only made a mil, but I'll take the mil. You know what I mean? So, but that's what I would say. I'd say the rejection, the hard work, the long hours, the commitment, the consistency. The test of greatness and hallmark of excellence, it's consistency. If you can't be consistent in what you're doing, I mean, you're not going to be able to do it for long or have it or keep it for long. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say. To what the hardest part about this is, just a lot of fucking work.
Love it. But hey, I love the quote. I'll take the mill. That's a good one. I like that. Um, well, now I'm curious about the creative side of it because you're going into like content creation. You said you want to start a podcast. I think you're a good speaker. You should definitely do it. I think people should do whatever creative urges they have, though. Try it out. If you fail, you fail. You just see what happens. Like you said, most of life is losses. But if you try a lot, you'll find enough to take that million. But what's the goal? Like, why are you doing it? Why are you doing content, and what's the goal?
Yeah, so I mean, the the real goal for me is, I wake up every morning. I'm happy. I'm not depressed. I have a great life. I eat good food. I sleep in a nice bed. I just bought a new house. You know what I mean? And this company has changed my life so deeply and so greatly that I genuinely just want to impact, this, there's a quote that I read, I was outside of Louis Vuitton in Chicago, and it was Virgil, one of Virgil Abloh, I don't know how to say his last name, Virgil Abloh's,
I
quote. He
think
goes,
that's
I did
right.
it for like, yeah, he's like, I did it for the 17-year-old version of myself. And for me, I'm thinking of all the 17-year-olds that were in my position that didn't really have the greatest life, didn't really look forward to anything, didn't have any big goals or aspirations or things that they wanted to accomplish. And I'm trying to save those people. You know what I mean? I'm trying to, show them what a good life is, and how changing your habits and going to the gym is going to help you, and how reading books are going to, really be the keys to your success, and to be a good, son or daughter, be a good wife, husband, and teach them like things about life, because my life's been, there's been so many generous people that have poured, their time and efforts into me. I just want to give back. And, by the grace of God, or, just thankfully, the company pays me to do it, and they pay me very well. So, I mean, there's a great reason behind why there's two great reasons. I get to have fun myself, and I get to help others, live the same life I'm living. And I just want to, I want to save those people that really don't know what they want to do with their life, and they're not making the money that they don't, that they want to make, and, they're just not happy with their life. I just want to, help as many people as I can as possible.
That's real, and I wish you all the success in the content creation side. If you were, say, you go into content and you're super successful, are you going to focus on that? I mean, you obviously like the financial services industry, but like, where do you see it going? Where do you see yourself want to be 5 years from now?
Yeah, so I just want to dominate the insurance industry. First I'm gonna be the number one team out of my company, and then I want to eventually be the number one team like out of the financial service industry, and take over that first. You know what I mean? If I get famous, or get a lot of followers or something on Instagram, I'm just gonna use that to do what I love and do what I know best, which is sell insurance, grow a team, and create a cool culture, and give an opportunity to people that just don't have one. I mean, like, for example, I mean, there's like Ryan. I don't know if you ever heard of like Ryan Shazier. He was on Ed Milet I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago. He was played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's the one that injured his back. He got paralyzed, and he was able to walk again. He was on he works with me. I see him every day. He was on the Ed Milet podcast last week. You know what I mean? There are people in here that are big name people, um, but I'm just trying to become the big name like myself.
Oh, that's dope. So you see yourself going into content creation. You like the industry. You'll stay there. Um, I want to talk about just overall sales tips, just for someone like learning how to sell yourself. You're a good speaker. You're good at sales. So someone, maybe they don't even want to go in the industry, but someone just has questions. John, I want to sell. I want to learn to sell. What are some tips just to get me started?
So sales is an everyday transaction. Okay, you're either selling somebody something, or you're getting sold yourself, right? So, for example, like, yeah, you go and ask some girl on a date. You're trying to sell them on going on a date with you, and they're going to either sell you a reason why not to, or they're going to sell you a reason why they want to, right? Everything you do is sales and transactional. If you want to be good at sales, you just got to study it. You know what I mean? You got to read it. You got to read up on books about it. You got to
What are some
study
good
pros.
recommendations for sales?
First one, if you want to get into like entrepreneurship, I think the first book you should read is Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone. That's a good one. Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. That's a good one. If you're in a specific sales industry and you want to close people more often and you want to be able to handle objections or rebuttals a little better, Closer Survival Guide by Grant Cardone. I've listened to Grant Cardone pretty much my whole career, and he's kind of helped me get where I am today just by reading his books. Never like went to a seminar, met him, talked to him, nothing like that. But just by reading his books, helped me become a good salesman. And then just listening to like neuro-linguistic programming, researching about that, researching the human minds, and how different words and power phrases and things can like sway them in a certain type of direction.
I'm curious about that. What's neuro-linguistic programming?
So neurolinguistic programming, it's basically like, from my understanding of it, it's basically how you like mirroring and how to gain comfortability with people very quickly. It's kind of like, I don't know. It sounds like some like demon shit, but it's really not. It's just like how to, like there's this one there, and I don't understand it.
It's like mirroring in the sense of like speaking just conversationally, or
Yeah, so like if we're sitting down and having a conversation and we've never met before and we're in person and you're leaning back like this, I'm probably gonna lean back, and if you're grabbing your right arm, I'm gonna grab my right arm and probably speak with the exact same tonality and punctual like voice that you're speaking, and you're just naturally gonna feel a little bit more inclined to open up and talk to me. Just things like that, like little things, power phrases, as far as like, are we on the same page? Does that make sense? Okay. You picking up what I'm putting down, like things like that. And they're like, yeah, like throughout a whole presentation, knowing, how to ask for information as far as like, okay, can I have your bank account number? For me, I'm just going to be okay. And then you use PNC if you want to start with the account number when you're ready. Like things like that. Just ways to ask questions that just sound a little bit more inviting.
it's interesting. I think you have some good motivations. You want to help people. Are you spiritual? Are you religious?
Not too religious, no. But whatever, someone spiritually, you know, feels is for them. I do think, having some sort of, faith or spirit in something's important. So, like for me, I like reading Proverbs. I think that helps a lot. I just, like the messages behind them. And then for me, like my meditation, everything is just like, positive thinking and, I'm like the least negative person you would ever meet. Like, the other day, long story short, but I almost lost like, I basically lost 20 grand. I thought I lost 20 grand, but I didn't. And I was like, well, it's all good. I woke up today. That was the first thing I said. You know what I mean? So I feel like just being positive, and that's my faith, is being positive and words of affirmation and things like that, and waking up every day, writing in my journal my goals, things like that. That's what my faith is behind myself.
Have you always been a positive person?
Yeah, no, definitely was not positive. I think I was more of like an angry kid for whatever reason, and didn't like school. Had like probably terrible ADHD or whatever, probably autism. I don't know, I had something wrong with me that was going on, where it was like couldn't focus, would always talk, getting in trouble. My report cards always said like, oh, he talks too much, and he's like making fun of someone else, and everyone's my family's always freaking out at me, and everyone just kind of thought I wasn't gonna really turn out good. They thought I'd be like a pretty terrible kid, and that was like kind of one of my main motivators behind it. And then I read The Secret by Rhonda Burns. Kind of talks
I'm not
about the
familiar.
power of manifestation, and there's a movie too. I think it's on Netflix or something. But it's like the power of manifestation and the power of thought, and how you can kind of create your own, your own life. And, when I read that, for example, I was driving around with Brody, my boss, in his Audi R8, and I was just envisioning what it felt like to grab the steering wheel, what the car smelled like, how it sat so low to the ground, and I just have that picture ingrained in my mind. Now, I drive a purple R8 every day, so it's like I truly believe, whatever I think, as long as my actions align with what I think and believe, I'm gonna achieve anything I want.
So was it that movie specifically, or that book specifically, that made you make that switch from being what you say is like an angry kid to a positive thinker, or is there just a period of time where things changed?
It was just a period of time where I guess things changed, and the more I was like, once I read that book, I was, oh, so you can, the way you think affects you, and I just started thinking more positively, and I would like catch myself saying like, oh, I hate going, oh, I don't want to work out, instead of being, oh, thank God I'm like able to work out today. You know what I mean? That's how like my mind, I just like trained my mind, I calloused my mind. And like every time I thought something negative, I would just come up with a new way to say it that wasn't negative. Like, oh, it's super cold out. Well, I'm so glad I'm not to be able to go outside today and feel how cold this is. Or I'm like in the middle of like, a super hard workout. And I'm like, I'm just so blessed to be able to sweat and it not smell really bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just how I trained my mind to like kind of overcome these like small obstacles. And I mean, the more I've done it, and that, the I'm not mean to people at all. It just you just have like a better life. You know what I mean? You just feel better about everything you do. I just want to like I truly want to impact someone's life every time I see them. So like I like to hold doors open for people. I like to be like, hey, you have a nice shirt on today, even if like it ain't even that nice. I like to impact someone's day, and it makes me feel good about myself. And I know if I do that enough and impact enough people's lives, eventually it's all gonna connect, and people are going to start remembering, oh, that's the guy that did this. And eventually I'm just going to gain more, influence, wherever I'm at. So I just feel like it opens up a lot of doors. You never know who you're going to run into. I could have, that Simon dude, I could have been, oh, that Simon guy that owns a nice car. He's rich, and he's probably a piece of shit. And, I could have said something like that, you know what I mean? But instead I just, had a little bit more of an open mind, and, what would have happened if I did say something like that? Because I was, 13 or 14, or excuse me, no, I wasn't. I was 17, but like I was 17 years old. I was just a regular kid that did regular dumb things. And if I didn't bring myself across that way to someone like him or someone else down the road, I just don't want to close off any doors.
What do you say to someone that, because I relate to it, and I think a lot of people relate to what you described as like just thinking negatively, like it's just auto. And you say that you're doing it now to where you try to make it positive. Whatever may be happening, you try to say it in a positive way. But how do you start doing that?
Um, I really don't have the best advice for that. I mean, the way I did it was I read the book, and I wanted my life to change so badly that I was willing to do whatever, whenever, however I was able to. I was willing to do anything. So, you know, my boss told me to read this book. I read the book, and I told him I liked it, and he was like, "Well, if you just start thinking more positively and giving, and have thinking big thoughts, like things are gonna start. You're gonna start doing a lot better." And I was like, "Okay." So I wanted it so badly that I was willing to do whatever. And I still do. I get up really early in the morning. Is that what makes people successful? I don't know if it is exactly, but I've heard it does. So I'm going to try everything I can and control what I can control. And the number one thing I can control is my thoughts. So, and then I also read this thing whenever I was a kid, and I kind of put two and two together. But when you think a thought or something like that, it actually like, and I might just sound like an idiot, but I, I don't even know if this is true. But I heard something where it was like, you think a thought, and like, the energy that it produces, like it actually like something about like it's an actual thing. The thought's like an actual form of like matter, like it's an actual little tiny thing. And I was like, well, if my thoughts are things, and I just think good ones, and eventually like good shit will happen. You know what I mean? So I just think it just creates a lot better life. Like, and then like, nowadays I can relate. Like I watch Mr. Beast podcast, right? And he's just super nice and just wants to impact people. And he seems like the happiest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. So I'm just trying to be more like someone like that. You know what I mean? I just don't ever want to give out negativity to someone. And if I do, I'm sorry. I probably have, but try to not as much as possible.
That's dope. I appreciate that, and we all have, and we all will continue to uh, bring positive and negative energy.
What
But it's
about
the
you?
effort.
You said you weren't really like too positive as a kid. You said.
I wouldn't say I was. I would say I wasn't too positive. Um, I think I'm moderately positive now. I could say I could just relate to the thought process of just, I have to do this or I have to do that. So it's interesting to hear you talk about reprogramming. That's something I like to think about. Like really, I am big into manifestation, and that your thoughts about how you think the world is the situation you'll end up in, whether or not you think the world is a beautiful place or you think world is hell. I think you'll end up in that area. Same with success. Like if you just think you're going to be successful, and it's not that simple to where you can just think, I think I'm going to have $1 million tomorrow. I don't think it's like that. But if you genuinely think of yourself, like your perception of yourself is something that's like, if I think Terran is a successful person, that's just what he does. He's found success in his life. He'll continue to find success. If I genuinely think of myself kind of in a third person view like that, then I do think that I'll find some success. And I do think everyone has a perception and a characterization of themselves. And I think it's very important to make sure that characterization that you have of yourself is positive. You don't have to think you don't have to be egotistical. You don't have to think I'm the best or I'm a god or something like that. I think that's too far, but I do think you could say, and I think everyone should take the approach of say, hey, I am someone who can do good, can do bad. I've made mistakes. But I've also always tried my best, and I'm going to continue to learn. I think when people give themselves that, they do start to learn. They do start to be better. Yeah.
I think like when you think of like, so what you, so for, I don't know where I heard this either, but have you ever like bought something like a shirt or like a pair of shoes, and you're like, oh my God, like once I bought these pair of shoes, everybody started wearing them, right? So there's this thing that humans do psychologically is where when they like think of something enough, they'll start to notice it more, right? So if you're thinking, I'm gonna be super successful, I'm gonna make a bunch of money. Me, ever since I saw Wolf of Wall Street, I was like, I'm gonna just fucking be Wolf of Wall Street. I'm gonna be the wolf, the wolf, the wolf. That's what I was thinking my whole life. Like literally, I was like, do I like do these coins that I don't really know anything about them. I don't really like technology that much. It's just not really my thing. I can barely work Discord. I just figured that out. And so
You make any crypto money?
yeah, I did. Dude, I actually made a lot of crypto money, but I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like a gambling crypto money. I made a little bit of crypto money, but it was completely lucky. So
Mine was completely lucky too, and it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. It was kind of crazy. It wasn't enough to some people it'd be life-changing money. To me it wasn't life-changing money, but
you don't want to say.
Nah, I don't,
Oh,
not
okay.
not the amount.
All right.
But I'll tell you later.
Off air.
But back to the thought thing. If you think of something enough, it's gonna like appear. So if you're thinking of like a
I
good
agree.
opportunity and like you want a better, I want better for my life. I want a better opportunity. When that opportunity comes in front of you, you're gonna be a lot more prepared to notice that opportunity. So what I always recommend to people that maybe don't have the money they want or don't have, the things that they want, or they don't feel like they have the opportunity that they want. I just think that just start preparing now. Start doing the daily things that's gonna, prepare you for that opportunity. Because, when preparation, meets opportunity, you're gonna have some success there. If you're prepared for it, instead of someone saying like, hey, do you wanna, come sell? I'm gonna give you 10 days to figure out, if you can sell this much in 10 days, like you're gonna have the job or something like that. Well, if you weren't really like researching how to sell things or anything like that, then you're not gonna do good. So for me, it was like I like kind of had this opportunity. I always knew I could be like, okay, well, I'm 17 years old. If I want a job here, they're gonna give me one, right? So for me, I was researching sales before I was even able to sell. Reading Sell or Be Sold, Be Obsessed or Be Average, all these Grant Cardone books, asking for more. When you can, truly prepare yourself for something, like in advance like that, and just, focus on your skill set, it's going to be so much easier to pull out opportunities. Like for you, like you do tech, right? So if you didn't know anything about tech, you probably wouldn't be in the position you are. You know what I mean? So find something that you love. And
I'd say I agree with you. I agree with your overall point, but I did not know. I'm not very techie myself, or at least
You
was
are
not
in tech?
before the industry, not before I got in.
Okay. Yeah.
That's pretty
I
inexperienced.
got
But I think your overall point, I 100% agree
Yeah.
with.
No, I got you. I mean, then again, I didn't know anything about sales whenever I found this, but I was preparing as far as, reading books, trying to grow my mind, thinking a little bit bigger, and got more into like the motivational aspect and everything like that.
Yeah, 100%. I really don't like when people attribute things to luck, because I do think life is external factors, like you call it luck or whatever, and it's internal factors. It's what you choose to do. But I really don't like the phrasing like, oh, he's just lucky or she's just lucky, because exactly to your point, it does take preparation. Even if you're lucky with an opportunity, I think everyone runs into opportunity in their lives. It just, you don't describe it as an opportunity, exactly what you're saying, if you're not prepared. So if one person is, like yourself, preparing, reading all these sales things, and then they have a sales opportunity, an opportunity to go into sales, that is an opportunity for them because they've prepared for it. But someone else that is not preparing, and someone comes up with a job, that's not an opportunity for them because there's nothing there. There's no opportunity because there is no preparation. So I really don't like the idea. And I think luck is a part of it. Everyone has different opportunities, and there's a lot of external factors. But I think someone's success is their success, and if they're successful, they prepared for it in some way, unless you won the lottery. But hey, you took the risk too, so.
And even like people, because that's what I was thinking when you said like you hate when people say luck. Even when people win the lottery, like I think it's a crazy statistic, but like most of them lose all that money, and that's because they're not prepared for the blessing that they got. For me, it was luck that I found Simon, who taught me everything I know.
But
it
you
was
did the
also
work
me
after that.
Get prepared and did the work after that. Correct. Yeah. So I think you can get lucky, but if you're not growing and elevating yourself, you're not gonna be able to keep it. And that's the most important part. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of money, but they have they're terrible family men. You know what I mean? There's people that have a bunch of fame, but they're addicted to drugs. So it's I don't. If you get lucky, I don't like, for example, Justin Bieber kind of got lucky, you could say, but he did put in the work, but he got lucky, and then then he had has a little bit of issues growing up or something like that. You know what I mean? Things like that. So it's like I think it all comes down to yourself, because if you get lucky, you're gonna blow it if you're not ready for it.
100%. So I got two final questions for you. One, is there any questions you have or anything you want to talk about before I have rattle these last two off? And they might take a little bit, but.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really, too much that I want to talk about other than, if you're 17, 16, 18, 19 through 25 years old and, you're looking for a better career or a better job, first off, our company's hiring, but just find some sort of sales position you can get in, because it's going to be an uncapped, amount of money that you can make typically, and find something that's 100% commission. Put it all on yourself, because that's how you're going to grow the most. You're going to fail the most. You're going to be more motivated, because if it's all on you, I mean, why wouldn't you bet all on you? You know what I mean? What are you going to tell your kid? Like, yeah, I quit because it was too difficult. You know what I mean? So put it all on your shoulders, and take extreme ownership in everything you do, and that's going to be the easiest way to grow and put yourself in a better position long term.
I love it. That kind of answered the first question. So I'll just say the first question is just, great advice. Where can people reach you? I know you got a website, you got your socials. You want to shout out anything?
Yeah, just my Instagram, Jon Rindt, JonRindt. My Instagram has pretty much everything on there. My website, you can schedule an interview on my website, or just hit me a direct message. Anything like that works. Or don't. I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably way too hard for anyone listening. So, so it's like, literally probably, if I bring in 10 random people, probably like maybe one or two of them is gonna be able to do it. You know what I mean? So as long as you think you're like a boss, a business boss, then if you're not, don't hit me up.
Gotcha. It'll be in the description. Jon, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. It's nice to meet you. I like the advice you give. I think working hard, I think positive affirmations, positive thinking is very important. And I wish you the best of success in the industry and your creative stuff. Let me know if there's anything I could do for you. So it was a lot of fun. My last question that we'll end off on, a simple question, but you're limited to only one word, and it doesn't have to be all encapsulating of everything that is included in the question, but just what is one thing that makes you appreciative of being alive today?
It'd be love. It'd be love, because I love everybody, and I just want everyone to feel loved, and that's that's my motto. Do everything with love. You can never really fail.
Well, I love that. Well, thanks, Jon. Thanks for being on. Everybody, thanks for listening. Check out his Instagram, all his links in the comments below.